Sales of Japanese cars remained sluggish in the Korean car market recently. Why are Japanese cars especially unpopular in the Korean market? Unlike its rival countries, the number of Korea's global companies hasn't been rising much in the last decade. What are the causes and remedies? There is a new technology that cures cancer cells. What is the core principle behind the advanced cancer treatment technology that finds and treats cancer cells in the blood? Korea develops Look and Link wireless technology for the first time in the world. What will the new future look like when this technology is commercialized? What does economics mean in North Korea? And what is the North's intention behind establishing management-related departments in its colleges recently?
Hello, I'm Andrew Salmon and welcome to Bizline. It's a sad time in Korea right now in the wake of the Sewol ferry disaster, which has claimed so many tragically young lives. Our condolences go to all those who have been affected. We begin the show today by looking at Japanese autos. Now, Seoul and Tokyo have always had a rather bumpy diplomatic relationship given various contentious historical issues. But economic ties have generally been quite strong. Yet right now, sales of Japanese cars are falling, while those of other countries' imports are rising in Korea. What is behind this? Let's take a look.
Domestic automobile consumption in Korea is beginning to pick up. In the first quarter of this year, car sales for both domestic as well as imports have shown double-digit growth. As car sales are sensitive to the economic activity, the rise in figures is believed to be a signal of Korea's economic recovery. However, Japanese-made cars are showing a different aspect amid the noticeable rise in imported car sales. A showroom for imported cars. Because used car price depreciation rates vary according to model preference and brand recognition, consumers thoroughly contemplate their decision before purchasing a car. More than 60% of the cars sold here are from Germany. In contrast, the market share rate of Japanese models are continuing to drop.
아무래도 일본 차 같은 경우에는 브랜드 선호도 떨어지고 그리고 모델도 다양하지 않다 보니까 선택의 폭이 좀 좁은 것 같습니다.
일본 차들의 경우에는 독일 차종에 비해 중고차에서는 아무래도 감가율이 크다 보니까 소비자들이 많이 꺼리는 편이기도 하고요. 경기가 좋은 상황에서는 고배기량을 추구하는 일본 차량들이 많이 소비자분들께서도 선호하시는 편이었는데 장기 경기 침체로 인하여서 고배기량보다는 아무래도 연비 좋은 디젤 차량을 소비자분들께서도 많이 선호하시는 편입니다.
In Korea, imported cars make up more than 14% of the entire market share. A closer look into import cars by manufacturing countries shows that German models were most popular, while Japanese-made cars continue to drop. Only a few years ago, 1 out of 3 imported cars were from Japan, was the biggest rival to Korean automakers. But now their market share has dropped to 11.3%.
네, 초기에 일본 업체들은 고급차 모델을 앞세워서 내수 시장을 급속히 잠식을 해나갔습니다. 그렇지만 2000년대 중반 이후에 유럽 업체들이 고급차 모델을 다양화했고 또 최근에는 가격 인하 경쟁이 벌어지면서 일본차 업체의 판매가 주춤하고 있습니다. 특히 최근에 일본 자동차 업체들의 연이은 리콜은 일본 차에 대한 성능과 품질에 대한 국내 소비자들의 의구심을 불러일으켰고 이것이 일본 자동차의 매출 감소로 이어지고 있다고 봅니다.
Last year, Toyota was the biggest seller in the world, but that was not the case in Korea. So what could be the reason? The main reason is due to Korea's preference for diesel cars. As diesel engines are considered to be more fuel efficient, European-made diesel cars are making headway with sales amid more economic difficulties.
승용 디젤은 최근 3, 4년 사이에 유럽차를 중심으로 해서 판매가 급증을 해서 전체 수입차의 60-70%를 차지할 정도로 한 해 흐름이 됐습니다. 이 부분은 일반 가솔린 차에 비해서 실제로 운행을 해보게 되면 30-40% 이상 차이가 나는 것을 느낄 수가 있고요. 더욱이 국내에서는 휘발유 대비 이 디젤유의 가격이 10% 정도 저렴합니다. 즉 피부로 느끼는 시너지 효과는 더 크게 느낀다는 거죠.
On the other hand, Japanese cars promoted hybrid models and did not have enough diesel engine models. Industry experts say that because Koreans tend to start and accelerate quickly when driving, hybrid models are not ideal for fuel efficiency. Furthermore, Japanese automakers did not introduce new models while other companies did, resulting in designs that have remained mostly the same.
최근에 들어오면서 일본 차는 다른 수입차에 비해서 모델 체인지 기간이 좀 길다는 거죠. 소비자들한테 가장 인기를 끄는 부분들이 신차 효과라는 부분입니다. 신차가 타이밍 맞춰서 제대로 공급되지 않으면 이런 부분에 대해서 인기를 떨어질 수밖에 없는데 다른 수입차에 비해서 수입차의 공급 시기가 너무 길다는 부분들도 소비자가 어떤 일본 차의 장점을 부각시키기에 좀 어려운 부분이 아닌가 이렇게 판단할 수가 있습니다.
And with the improvement of Korea's car manufacturing skills, Japanese cars began to lose their competitiveness. Consumers have yet to forget massive recall incidents, which also contributed to slowing Japanese car sales. To break away from sluggish sales, Japanese car manufacturers are working to make themselves more appealing to the Korean market. In response to popularity of diesel engine cars in Korea, Infiniti has added a diesel engine model to compete against European diesel cars. The Infiniti Q50, a diesel engine model introduced in February, has already met its sales target and has been considered a success.
지난 5, 6년간을 돌아봤을 때 디젤의 수요가 급격히 증가하고 있는 시장의 트렌드 때문이다라고 판단을 하고 있거든요. 그래서 이번에 출시된 인피니티 Q50을 기점으로 해서 다시 한번 일본 브랜드가 유럽 브랜드와의 적극적인 경쟁 관계를 통해서 다시 한번 부활할 수 있는 기회라고 판단이 되고 있습니다.
Lexus, Nissan, and Honda have either all lowered the prices of their new models or kept them the same from last year. They are also offering discounts to narrow the price gap between Korean models, a move to compete with German cars by lowering price points. Japanese car manufacturers are also working on new models based on their technology competitiveness.
과거의 일본 자동차 업체도 디젤 기술 개발에 나서서 세계적인 기술 수준까지 이 개발을 한 경험이 있습니다. 그렇지만 일본 소비자들이 이 디젤 자동차에 대해서 부정적인 인식을 가지고 구매를 거의 회피했기 때문에 일본 자동차 업체들이 더 이상의 기술 개발에 나서지 않았던 것입니다. 그렇지만 최근 전 세계 시장에서 디젤 자동차의 판매가 확대되면서 일본 업체들도 다시 디젤 기술 개발에 적극 나서고 있습니다.
Even small sellers of imported cars are targeting Korea, which is adding to the growth of the imported car market. It still remains to be seen, however, whether or not Japanese car makers can gain the market share to reclaim its past status as the biggest imported car seller in Korea.
When people around the world think of Korean companies, they almost automatically think of big players like Samsung, Hyundai, and LG. And this is of course perfectly natural given that these firms are now very well established global brands. But all these firms were founded prior to the 1950s. In recent years, Korea has been less successful in incubating a new generation of global players. Indeed, for the last 10 years, their numbers have been virtually stagnant. So why are we in this situation? What can, what should be done about it? To answer these questions, we have with us an expert from Sejong University. Dr. Yong-wook, welcome to Bizline.
Nice to meet you, Andy.
Okay. Well, let's start. This was prompted by a report from the Federation of Korean Industries, the FKI. They released a very interesting analysis saying that very few new Korean companies have become global companies in the last 10 years. So let's just kick off by saying, how do you define a global company?
I would say global company is a company which has the ability to make diverse operations in multiple countries. In that, definition, we have to add one more thing. Okay. That is, the company has to have a global brand that every consumer can recognize. So there are three keywords in defining global company. One, they should have the breadth. They have to have multiple markets to cover.
Okay.
And they have the depths. They have different types of operation in each country, ranging from the sales office to research operations and manufacturing center. Okay. And then they need the brand name. Okay? That's my definition of the global company.
Okay. Well, I'll just ask you one question right off the bat. If you're a B2C company, clearly you need a brand. If you're a B2B company, if you're a component supplier, is a brand really that essential?
Even the B2C companies these days, brand is important. For example, if you say Intel, this is actually a B2C company, B2B, but sure. Whenever that we buy the PC, at the Intel box, Intel inside. Right. So brand is more important, not only just for the consumer consumer product, but also industrial product too.
Coming back, so the FKI, the Federation of Korean Industries, which does represent the big boys, this is the big business lobby group, they released this report. Is their analysis accurate?
I would say it's a bit overstated. Okay. But there's a certain part of that's true, and certain part is a bit, dubious. The reason I'm saying is that if you look at the Fortune 500 list, okay, from the 2004 to 2013, the number of the Chinese global companies, according to Fortune 500, increased from the 15 to 89.
89.
Yes. Indian companies from 2 to 8. Brazilian companies 3 to 8. And Russian companies 3 to 7. So there's a multiple increases. Whereas the Korean companies, the number at the time of 2004, 11, now is 14. So only 3 companies has been increased.
Added, yeah.
But the reason that I'm saying it's overstated is that the Fortune Global 500 is just by size, the sales volume. So in that index, the Korean companies are a bit laggards. But in terms of real global operations, maybe the comparison is not the apple to apple. It's maybe apple to orange.
Okay. Okay.
So I agree. Basically, there is certain lag of performance of the Korean companies in terms of the belonging to
Fortune 500.
The Fortune 500, the number of the companies joining the membership.
Some parts of the FKI analysis may be a little dubious, but generally speaking it stands, it is correct. Why has Korea thus far been unsuccessful creating a second generation of global players after the chaebol, who really sort of came up in the 50s, 60s and 70s?
There could be 3 different reasons. Okay. And the first reasons, as I mentioned, the Korean companies are pretty much concentrated in a certain manufacturing sectors.
And this, of course, came from the original industrial blueprint of the Park government, did it not? When 2 or 3 players were essentially assigned to each sector.
That's right. That's right. And that the oligopolistic power has been consolidated and solidified in the past years. Yeah. So shipbuilding, steel, electronics, automobiles, the current incumbent members are really concentrated in that sector. Yeah. So that's one reason. What I say, there is certain stickiness among themselves. The other reason could be that in comparison with the other BRICS countries, the relative growth rate of the Korea vis-a-vis Brazil, Russia, and China has been a bit stagnant. Yeah. For example, in the last 10 years, China's growth rate is more than 10%, and India 8%, Russia 4%, Brazil 4%. Whereas Korea is only nearby 3% in average. Yeah. So as other countries has more robustic power of the growth, there's a lot more chances for their companies to grow.
Yeah. And of course, they're massive domestic markets, each one of those, much bigger than Korea.
Right. Yeah. That's right. A third reason I would say that the service sector and the resource sector are very important sectors. The Korean companies were not that much strong in those sectors because Korea has been too much, concentrated in the manufacturing sector in the past 10 years. So I would say that Korea has to do a lot of work to do in the service and other sectors.
Yeah. In the BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, they are being much more successful than Korea in raising new global companies. Why do you think they're doing that? Is this simply a factor of growth in those countries?
The rise of the Chinese, Brazilian, and Russian companies are not the private companies. Most of them are state-owned or government-owned companies. They are really the champions of that countries. So it's very natural they are now emerging as big companies. For example, in China, in the Fortune 500 list, 89 companies, Chinese companies are listed.
Right, so you mentioned
90% of them are in the banking or telecommunications or the infrastructure areas.
These are government state-run?
The government state-run companies. Okay. So that's the reason that they have more champions or the star players
at this time.
But in comparison to Korea, to them, the Korean companies are more or less the private companies. Sure. So those BRICS countries are devoting their resources in this area, in the public sector. It's very natural that we see more public stars emerging from that countries.
Now, there's some criticism in Korea that the kind of tech venture, which, for example, the United States is so very, very good at incubating, face significant barriers in Korea. For example, I'm sure you're aware of the case of Uber, this software solution that links passengers to cars. Very, very hampered here in its operations due to regulations that arguably defend the established taxi sector. That's just one example. Is there a sense that Korea is over-regulated and that bureaucracy, which was such an important factor in Korea's early stage of growth, is now almost strangling economic activity when it comes to innovative firms?
If we will look at it, the World Economic, the country ranking, the Korea's ranking has been very much improved over the years, but recently the ranking is deteriorated. For example, 2012 they were 19th out of 130 countries of the World Economic Forum ranking, but 2013 the ranking went down to 25th.
What's driving that?
The reason for this deteriorating of ranking is coming two sources. One is, of course, the labor environment, but the more important reason is coming to the regulatory environment.
Regulatory risk, yeah.
Yeah, so there is very one interesting report from the OECD. Out of OECD 33 countries, they issue an index called the PMR, Product Market Regulation Index.
Okay.
And Korea is, out of 33 countries, the bottom 4.
Sorry, I'm not sure what that index assesses. Product market regulation?
Regulation, so how many barriers, regulations on the
from factory to market?
Yeah.
How many hurdles you've got to cross?
The hurdles, and also the international, the trade, international trade.
Okay.
And Korea is following the Turkey, Istanbul, Mexico, and then Korea. So it's number 4th in terms of the worst ranking case.
Yeah.
So that represents the hurdles of the foreign companies in Korea, or even Korean domestic companies feeling we have a lot of regulation.
There's a lot of red tape. Do you think, there's been such a strong sense over the last 50, 60 years of top-down leadership, of top-down economic planning, of bureaucratic-led state interventionist economic activity. It's almost within the genes of the Korean civil service to regulate. Do you think the president has got a strong enough arm to slash through this red tape?
Of course, there has been a certain tradition of the top-down approach, but these days, the real force is coming from the market, from the consumers. Okay? Even if the Blue House says 100 things, it shouldn't be kept. It couldn't be kept, but there is a signals coming from the market. Customers are making a lot of complaint, and the foreign investors are making a lot of complaint. This is market force. That is the real power to make the Korea deregulation. Yeah. So I expect the market power will be bigger and bigger in the future.
Okay. What strategies do you suggest the government need to enact in order to spur this, as you say, new generation of little giants emerging from the pipeline in the next 10 years?
There is a very good sign to nurturing these hidden champions from the private sectors. For example, the Samsung Electronics, they pinpoint the next hidden champions from their vendor list. They have a huge vendor groups, right? Samsung Electronics also recognize that in order to survive over a long time, they have to create a good cluster. So they have to pick 10 or up to 50 candidates who can be hidden champions in their respective electronic sector. So they provide capital funding, they provide technology support, so that they can be internationally viable and strong players. So these are the kind of very desirable direction that we are nurturing the hidden champion. The other strategy that we can think of is that we have now developed the new star players from non-manufacturing sector. Korea has been very strong in the manufacturing sector, but as you see that we are weak in the banking, we are weak in telecommunication. Of course, we have strong players in domestic market, but we don't have the global, champions.
No global carriers, right?
Like Orange, we don't have that. We have just SK Telecom, but it's basically just domestic player. And another, area that I'm looking at is the global cultural area, such as the Korean K-pop. So maybe SM will be the future player, and also, as you mentioned, the game players. Korea has good companies like NCSoft and the Nexon. I think they're all in the pipeline, but we need a little more kick, to make this service sector a viable one. So once we have that, I'll see more Korean companies on the horizon that could be the global players.
Let's hope so. Start investing now, right?
Yep.
Okay. Dr. Jun, thank you very much for being on Bizline.
Thank
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
As women's dresses get lighter amid warmer weather, their interest in losing weight only gets stronger. Isn't there a fun and healthy way to lose weight? This week's app is Dieter. When you enter your current weight, a cute character is created for you on the home screen. You are highly motivated as the character's facial expression and figure changes, depending on how you control what you eat and how much you exercise. First, you enter what you eat to check calories and control your diet. Let's check how much you work out and walk more using the pedometer. It will be fun to successfully complete a mission given to you every day. You can now enjoy dieting without being stressed out.
Cancer is one of the leading killers worldwide, and compounding the problem is chemotherapy, one of its most common treatments. Chemotherapy, by damaging many of the healthy cells as well as the cancerous cells, is a cure that becomes almost as bad as the disease. So a technology Korean researchers are working on pinpoints and treats only the cancer cells, leaving the healthy cells as they are. Could this be the breakthrough the world has been awaiting? Let's take a look.
Cancer cells that spread quickly to other organs, and cancer treatment that destroys healthy tissues. Is there a way to attack only cancer cells in the body? Is there a way to find where cancer cells are located quickly and accurately with a simple blood test? New means to treat cancer have been developed in Korea, and they could greatly change the way we treat people.
The World Health Organization says cancer is growing at an alarming pace worldwide.
Koreans spend a whopping $1.4 billion a year testing for thyroid cancer using ultrasound screening.
The number one cause of death in Korea for the past 30 years has been cancer. Cancer patients have increased every year, and in 2011, its toll has reached 218,000, more than double from 11 years earlier. That is why scientists in Korea are working very hard to find a cure to treat cancer. The Institute for Basic Science has recently developed a new nanobiochemical, namely a smart nanogrenade that can diagnose and treat cancer simultaneously. It is called the nanogrenade because it attacks cancer cells automatically upon detection. The nanogrenade zones into cancer cells which are higher in acidic level than normal healthy cells.
When you look at the inside the cancer cell, the pH is even lower. So it's a lot more acidic, around less than 6.5, 5.5, something like that. So we basically use this kind of we developed pH sensitive polymer systems. So in neutral pH, it will be kept intact. But when you get into the cancer cell, it just dissociate, something like an explosion of grenade. That was the basic principle.
The nanogrenade contains iron oxide nanoparticles to detect acidity, and photosynthesizer that can produce active oxygen to kill cancer cells upon exposure to light, making it possible to find and treat cancer simultaneously.
Purpose of this photosynthesis is that this is something like the fluorescence dye. By combining fluorescence imaging and also MRI imaging, we can actually detect as small as a 3 millimeter sized early stage tumor can be diagnosed using this new technique. So this is one important aspect of this nanogrenade material for the cancer therapy and diagnosis.
Iron oxide nanoparticles inside the nanogrenade emit light when it reaches cancerous tissue, and photosynthesizer selectively attacks the tumor. Lab experiment shows that nanogrenade treatment on mice with cancer substantially reduced the tumor size than mice with general treatment. Nanogrenade is effective in treating heterogeneous tumor and laryngeal cancer where light can reach easily. However, there are issues to resolve before applying it widely to treat cancer.
Actually, for the actual clinical applications to real cancer patients, we still have a lot difficult hurdles we still have to overcome, such as the first stage. We just did on the mouse work. It's going to take a long time to do larger animals, for example, such as dog, and eventually monkeys, before we actually try to human beings. So there's a long-term process overall for the actual clinical application of this new technology.
The National Cancer Center also became the first in the world to discover means to detect circulating cancer cells in blood without damaging it. For cancerous cells to move to other organs, it uses the bloodline. Scientists say nanotechnology utilizing electrochemical reaction can detect circulating tumor cells without damage.
현재 암세포를 혈액 속에서 분리하기 위해서는 다양한 기술들이 사용되고 있는데 가장 일반적인 방법이 암에 특이적으로 반응하는 항체를 사용하는 것입니다. 그러나 항체를 표면에 고정화하는 기술에 여러 문제점들이 제기되기 때문에 그리고 또한 많은 양의 항체를 이렇게 표면에 고정화하는데 어려움이 있기 때문에 저희는 전도성 고분자에 직접 항체를 포함한 바이오 모레큘을 도핑시켜서 암세포의 검출 효율을 90% 이상까지 향상시켰습니다.
Until now, it wasn't easy to test circulating cancer cells because they are in small counts. Thus, accuracy in detection of circulating cancer cells was about 50%. However, newly discovered technology by the Institute improves the accuracy rate up to 95%.
혈액 내에 있는 암세포는 원래의 암덩어리에서 떨어져 나와 혈액 내로 돌아다니다가 다른 장기로 정착하게 되는데 혈액 내로 돌아다닐 때는 암세포가 똑똑하게도 암세포가 아닌 것처럼 위장을 하고 다닙니다. 저희가 실험실 단위로 이 실험을 했을 때도 95%의 암세포의 검출 효율을 보였기 때문에 저희가 굉장히 환자를 대상으로 하는 임상에서 큰 기대 효과를 가지지 않을까 생각하고 있습니다.
Moreover, 8 out of 9 cancer cells that were found weren't damaged, which is of great help in giving patients prognosis and setting target treatment.
혈중 종양세포 외에도 혈액 내에 존재하는 암세포 유래물, 즉 DNA나 단백질의 효율적인 검출 및 분리에 이용될 수 있기 때문에 환자 개인에 맞는 진단과 치료를 할 수 있으며 실험 동물 연계 연구로 새로운 항암제 개발 등의 다양한 분야로의 기술 개발 연구로 이어나갈 수 있습니다. 암 관련 진단 및 치료 연구에 새로운 전기를 마련할 것으로 생각됩니다.
Through advancements in medical technology, cancer is no longer becoming an incurable disease. With the discovery of new cancer treatments in Korea, the world will also benefit and perhaps become cancer-free in the near future.
In January, in Los Angeles, at the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers Conference, a Korea-designed technology gained particular attention. The engineers' eyes were caught by Look and Link wireless technology. In our ICT report, we'll tell you what it is, what it does, and what promise it holds.
By shooting a store's sign with a smartphone camera, information on its menu, prices, and even coupons will be sent directly to your smartphone and tablet PCs. Even if you don't know the phone number, you can make a phone call just by using screen recognition. What enables all of these is the Look and Link wireless technology. Look and Link is a technology that instantly connects with a communication target located within 70 meters when the user sees and selects the target from the smartphone screen, even if the user doesn't know the target's ID. So how was this made possible? We visited a tree that developed Look and Link technology.
다음 주 우리 출장 가기 위해서 그 발표 자료 준비하시는 거에 대해서 좀 준비가 됐는지.
네, 준비됐습니다.
아, 예, 알겠습니다.
The person attending a meeting takes a picture of a colleague's face with the tablet's camera and touches the screen. Then the tablet instantly connects with the colleague's tablet and sends its data to the counterpart's handset.
기존에 이렇게 회의를 진행하기 위해서는 USB를 통해서 자료를 같이 공유했지만 대상을 향해서 찍기만 하면 대상에 있는 자료를 바로 즉시 공유할 수 있습니다.
Moreover, when the user shoots the cafe's sign with the tablet, the cafe's menu, prices, and even coupons are directly sent to the user's tablet. Devices connect with each other just by using screen recognition, so the user can make a phone call without having to search and enter the phone number.
제가 지금 길 건너편에 있는데 한 5분 정도 후에 도착할 것 같은데 주문을 좀 하려고 합니다.
샌드위치 5개하고 아메리카노 5잔 부탁드립니다.
네, 알겠습니다. 감사합니다. 네, 기존의 통신은 이동통신은 서버나 기지국을 통해서만 연결이 가능했지만 시선통신 기술은 상대방의 아이디를 모르더라도 스마트폰을 통해서 스마트폰의 창에서 대상을 선택하고 그 대상과 연결해서 통신을 할 수 있는 신개념의 통신 기술이 되겠습니다.
Look and link technology is a type of direct communications that connects devices without going through wired or wireless routers or base stations. The technology offers low communication costs and strong security as communication is done only between two devices.
D2D 기술은 통상적인 셀룰러 시스템과 달리 기지국을 거치지 않고 가까운 거리에 있는 두 기기 간의 통신을 지원을 해주기 때문에 특히 가까운 거리의 기기 간의 단말 전력 소모를 막아줄 수 있고요. 여러 가지 통신의 효율성을 높여줄 수 있는 장점이 있습니다.
If so, how is it different from the already commercialized direct communications like Bluetooth or Google's Android Beam? In case of the Bluetooth, it has a high misrecognition rate because various devices within the communication available, the distance respond and it takes more than 30 seconds to connect. But for Look and Link, just 3 seconds is enough to connect. The secret is the beam formed by 4 antennas. When the user points the target device with the smartphone, a strong directional beam is formed. As the beam is fired at a specific target within 8 degrees each from the left and right sides, the number of devices that interfere with the communications sharply falls, other than the target device. The key to this technology is to accurately connect to the target device by touching the selected target on the screen.
기본적으로 사용자가 연결을 요구하는 단말은 즉 그 대상은 하나입니다. 그런데 전파 빔이나 이미지를 사용해서 그 대상을 찾아낸다 하더라도 복수기가 선택될 수 있고 사용자는 자신의 스마트폰 화면에서 최종적으로 그중 한 개의 단말을 선택하는 과정을 거치게 됩니다.
Another advantage of the Look and Link is that it has a wide communication range. While its rival technologies like Google's Android Beam and Bluetooth can operate only within 10 centimeters and 10 meters respectively, Look and Link technology can communicate with the target device up to 70 meters apart. When Look and Link technology is commercialized, we will be able to use a smartphone or tablet PCs instead of the remote control to control the TV by instantly connecting them and enjoy smartphone images and tablet images on the TV's large screen. In addition, without having to connect and select a printer, we can immediately print out the files stored on the smartphone or tablets from a nearby printer.
D2D 시장이 활성화가 된다면은 여러 가지 서비스가 가능할 텐데요. 예를 들어서 상점에 다가갔을 때 광고가 자동으로 뜬다든가 아니면 근거리에 모여있는 여러 단말들에게 미아 찾기, 재난 정보 등과 같은 다양한 정보들이 신속하게 연결될 수 있겠습니다.
Going forward, various application services will be developed when it is applied to wearable devices like smart glasses in which displays function as human eyes.
안경 형태의 웨어러블 단말과 결합할 경우 눈에 보이는 대상과 직접 통신할 수 있는 수단을 제공받게 되고 그러한 과정을 통해서 사물과 직접 통신할 수 있는, 즉 소통할 수 있는 그런 계기가 될 것으로 전망하고 있습니다.
With a simple and intuitive interface, Look and Link technology is a wireless technology that sees and connects. It is set to pioneer a new wireless communications market and furthermore, open the Internet of Things era.
In one of the world's most underreported stories, economic change has been taking place in North Korea since the late 1990s as a form of capitalism takes hold in this formerly communist state. Now, this change was originally driven from the bottom up as desperate ordinary North Koreans turned to market trading to survive. But recently, there are signs that this change is also being embraced at the top. Case in point, North Korean universities are currently establishing a range of business management courses and classes. What is the significance of this change? In our North Korean report, we'll take a look.
Recent news reports about new economics and business administration related courses in some North Korean colleges grabbed attention amid ongoing efforts by the authoritarian government to resuscitate its moribund economy. Although North Korea, one of the world's most isolated socialist states, has maintained a centralized planned economy since its foundation in the middle of the 20th century, economics and business education has never been ignored at its educational institutes. Economics and business administration majors have been popular among college students in North Korea.
경제 부분에서 일하면은 일단 그 수익이 남들보다 좋죠. 그리고 사회적으로 대우를 좀 받고 해외에 파견되고 대외 무역 또는 외무성에서 일할 수 있는 그런 가능성들이 넓기 때문에 선호도가 매우 높습니다.
But discussion on economics and business in the planned economy, allowing no freedom of economic activities, could not be the same as the ones taught in the market economy. Words of households as buyers and firms as sellers exist in economics textbooks in North Korea, but discussion focuses on the government's role in economic decision-making, nearly neglecting the role of other actors.
수요와 공급이 자연스럽게 만나는 공간이 시장인데 사회주의 경제에서는 그걸 인정을 하지 않고 계획에 따른 통제였죠. 특히 북한 같은 경우는 국가에 의한 정치적 지도, 당에 의한 통일적 지도가 매우 강조가 됐기 때문에 그게 경제학에 반영이 돼서 우리가 이해하고 있는 소위 말하는 경제학의 수요 공급, 이윤 등등에 대한 매우 본격적인 토론은 있을 수가 없었죠.
To some extent, economics preached in North Korea has also been developed in a unique way, based on the country's Juche ideology, distinguishing its economic theory from other typical socialist economics.
At a certain stage, the idea was, and it might be partially related to Juche, that North Korea should be as self-sufficient as possible. In the 1960s and 1970s, they literally produced everything they could possibly need, from needles to battle tanks. However, in the 1980s, this emphasis on the autarky, on self-reliance, was quietly discarded.
With growing demand for professionals who can deal with foreign investment, much needed to recover the ailing North Korean economy, the country's educational institutions have been lately reported to have made some changes in economics and business training programs. The Chosun Shinbo reported last month that Kim Il-sung University started offering an international economics course, and Pyongyang Changcheolgu University of Commerce created hotel management and hotel services majors.
외국 대방들이 적극적으로 진출하려는 그런 활동을 펼치려는 데서 영향을 받고 또 북한의 각 부서들이 그런 데 관심을 보이고 그런 기회를 통해서 외국 문물 또 외부 세계 시장 경제에 대해서 좀 파악하려는 그런 의지도 당국의 의지도 반영됐다고 볼 수 있겠습니다.
Attempts to learn such economic activities allowed under capitalism are believed to have been made in the reclusive socialist country after its economic system started failing in the 1990s.
최근에 북한에서 국가 기능이 붕괴되면서 특히 계획 기능과 또 분배 등의 이제 붕괴 또는 와해가 있지 않습니까? 그래서 이제 관찰되는 게 아래부터 시장화가 전면적으로 확산됐기 때문에 국가에서도 계획 기능에 대한 변화가 불가피했던 거죠. 그래서 그 얘기는 무슨 얘기냐면 계획에서 소위 말하는 시장 기능에 대한 이행 과정에서 고민을 할 수밖에 없다, 국가에서는. 그리고 그러한 현실을 반영한 교육 내용이 또한 바뀔 수밖에 없다.
A few people are cautiously optimistic that the introduction of such market-centric economics and business education and training may foster the opening up of the so-called hermit kingdom to the outside world. But the majority of the world remains skeptical about whether the regime is sincerely embracing change.
So far, I would say it's a very cautious first step. Whether they are going to follow this way, well, probably yes. Whether the North Korean government while following the path of reform, will be capable of keeping the country under control, will be capable of staying on top? Well, I'm skeptical. It's possible, but it's very risky. However, it's not clear to which extent the North Korean leaders understand how risky this strategy might be.
현재로서는 북한 당국이 개혁 개방을 전면적으로 실시하기 위해서 경제나 경영학을 많이 공부시키는 그런 차원에서의 대응은 아니고 최소한의 또는 가장 필요한 수준에서의 그 대외적인 적응 그리고 경제 학습 그런 측면에서 반응하고 있다고 봐야죠.
Some people even warn that the latest experiment could be abused to train those young North Koreans to perpetuate the current regime. It is too early to determine whether teaching young professionals could help open the isolated socialist country to the outside world or perpetuate the regime. But the country seems to have no choice but to test different economic practices after its centralized economic control started failing.
북한 그 최고 지도층에서도 역시 매우 그 고전적인 사회주의 경제 또 북한 특유의 어떤 주체 경제에서 시장 부분을 일정 정도 흡수하면서 용어와 또 개념들을 확산해 나가는 그런 지금 나름의 그 초기 과도기 단계가 아닌가 그렇게 지금 평가를 하고 있습니다.
While North Korea seems to be experimenting with economics from the Western world, it remains to be seen how much of this change will actually be applied to help its economic reform.
And that's all we have time for on Bizline this week. But do join us again next week. All eyes are expected to be on US President Barack Obama during his Korea visit. He'll be discussing the chorus of Korea-US Free Trade Agreement and the ongoing implementation thereof. What are the issues? We'll find out. But that's it for now. I'm Andrew Salmon. This was Bizline. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.